This is a podcast from the Business Times.
Good morning. It's Thursday, August 13th, 2026. From the Business Times news desk, here are your headlines. What you need to know. U.S. President Donald Trump said the United States is in full control of the Strait of Hormuz in a Truth Social post yesterday. This comes after comments from a senior Iranian source that there has been no progress in talks to revive an interim agreement reached in June. The chairman of Tata Sons, the holding company of India's largest conglomerate, said he will not seek reappointment and will step down in February next year. And U.S. inflation remained largely contained in July, with consumer prices barely rising as gasoline prices fell for a second straight month. In world news, Iran and the United States remain at odds over efforts to reach a lasting end to the conflict in the Gulf, with a senior Iranian source saying there has been no progress in talks to revive an interim agreement reached in June, or set a timeline for its implementation. The Iranian source said that there had been no talks on extending the ceasefire under the agreement, insisting that Washington must first revisit the previous agreement and establish a time frame for fulfilling its commitments. The comments dealt another blow to hopes of a swift resolution after fresh attacks on commercial shipping were reported by both the U.S. and Yemen's Iran-backed Houthis on Tuesday. The attacks occurred near the Strait of Hormuz and the Red Sea, key arteries for global oil trade. These separate incidents sent oil prices up earlier in the week. Conversely, U.S. President Donald Trump said yesterday the United States is in full control of the Strait of Hormuz and plans to maintain that control. In a Truth Social post, Trump described the U.S. naval blockade as a wall of steel and said Iran had no way to challenge it. The temporary agreement reached in June called for an immediate and permanent termination of military operations on all fronts, but quickly fell apart. President Trump declared the deal over on July 7th, while Iran's foreign ministry said a week later that it had been suspended. Separately, Russia has blamed Ukrainian attacks on its grain and agricultural infrastructure for higher global food prices and worsening grain shortages, saying the disruption serves the interests of some Western countries. These accusations came after a wave of Ukrainian strikes on the Black Sea port of Novorossiysk that killed 3 people, including a child, and forced major grain terminals in the city to suspend operations. In the region, the chairman of Tata Sons, the holding company of India's largest conglomerate, said he will not seek reappointment, citing a lack of board support following tensions with the charitable trust that controls the group. Chandrasekaran's departure in February adds to the challenges facing the 158-year-old conglomerate, which is grappling with mounting losses at Air India, a sharp decline in sales at Jaguar Land Rover, and a data leak at its electronics business that affected clients including Apple and Tesla. In Singapore, trading activity on the Singapore Exchange's securities market rose sharply in July, with turnover climbing 37% year-on-year to 46.2 billion Singapore dollars, according to a bourse filing yesterday. Securities daily average value also increased 37% from a year earlier, remaining above 2 billion Singapore dollars for the 6th consecutive month. Derivatives activity also strengthened, with trading volume rising 16% year-on-year to 33.9 million contracts. Derivatives daily average volume similarly grew 16% to around 1.5 million contracts. In companies and markets, U.S. inflation remained largely contained in July, with consumer prices barely rising at 9.1% as gasoline prices fell for a second straight month. The latest data further weakened the case for a Federal Reserve rate hike next month. The increase in the Consumer Price Index was in line with expectations, with modest gains in food and apparel prices offset by cheaper accommodation and prescription drugs. And stocks we're watching: Singtel, ST Engineering, and Singapore Airlines, SIA. The carrier reported record quarterly revenue of 5.7 billion Singapore dollars and a record 10.9 million passengers. But higher fuel costs tied to the Middle East conflict, along with a bigger share of Air India's losses, pushed SIA to a net loss of 76 million Singapore dollars, its first since the pandemic. For updates throughout your day, visit bt.sg. And don't forget to check in with our Daily Wrap podcast, Market Focus Daily, at 6 this evening.
This is a podcast by the Business Times. Find more BT podcasts at businesstimes.com.sg/podcasts. or wherever you get your podcasts.